slowed the spread. We flattened the curve. We saved lives. And that's why we're opening up America again.
Vice President Pence this week on the coronavirus. He also faced some backlash for calling the threat of a second wave overblown in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. Senator Elizabeth Warren reacting, calling his remarks pathetic and reckless, in her words. Time now to bring in our panel to talk about this week's top stories. Joining us this week, Rima Shahid, Mike Murphy, Robin Winston, and Tony Samuel. Let's start with Rima, who's the executive director of Women for Change Indiana. Rima, I heard the vice president there defending the nation's response to the coronavirus. The president holding an in-person campaign rally this weekend, hoping to turn the page with polls, some polls now showing him down by double digits. What's your takeaway from all this?
I think that there are opinions, there are aspirations, and then there are facts. And the facts is that coronavirus has not gone anywhere. I think that the fact is that 22 states, I believe, have seen an increase in cases. That's different states, and even on a local level, they're looking at taking extra precautions once again because of the increase in cases. So I think that it is unfortunate to weigh in your opinions when we're really looking for facts as a nation, because this is about our safety and it's about keeping Americans safe.
Let's turn to 2016 Vice Chair for the Indiana Trump campaign, Tony Samuel. Tony, the president's campaign team worried at all about those polls? A Fox News poll showing him down 12 now to Joe Biden.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look at what's happening, just contrasting what President Trump is doing, getting out there, talking to the people, having meetings, having people at the White House, social distancing, having the rallies, more than 100,000 people are going to show up for the rally. That's what, energizes his voters and energizes America. I think compare that to Joe Biden hiding in his basement, not speaking very well on the issues, coming out late with plans. So that's what folks see regarding coronavirus. We knew that it was still out there, and we knew that with the different states opening, that it was going to increase because there's more testing. But it's also weakening depending on what the CDC says and when. And we also hear now that it doesn't affect youth as much, and then folks that might have it but are not spreading it like we thought. So we've learned a lot, and it's time to reopen. The economy is showing signs of resurgence, and Americans want to get back out and socialize and go to work.
Robin Winston is the former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats. Robin, your thoughts on what we've seen this past week?
Well, we've seen a lot. I would say that if you go to the doctor, you go to the doctor. You don't go to the vice president for medical advice. And I haven't seen Dr. Fauci in a long time, but he's a preeminent physician, very well respected, served through 6 presidents, and has basically been sidelined by this administration because he's going to tell us things that are good for us. All of us should be wearing masks. The president refuses to. The other thing that I noticed this week about the president is that John Bolton's out there. And John Bolton's got a book to go, and they don't want John Bolton's book to come out. So I think that causes problems for them.
Let's bring in former GOP lawmaker Mike Murphy. Mike, on that topic of Bolton's book and everything this election year, what's coming next? I mean, we've seen it all.
Well, I think first let's talk about Bolton. I think it's fascinating that the president said a couple days ago, nothing in the Bolton book is true. But then he has the Justice Department sue to stop its publication because he says it contains secrets. And he forgot apparently that the White House reviewed and approved the book some months ago. So there's more to come out of that, but I can't read the book. My book is on some Amazon truck, hopefully on the way to my house right now. But the only thing we should be talking about right now locally is the fact that we have had our 100th murder in 5.5 months. 81% of those murder victims have been Black. The business community, the political leadership, the civic leaders in this town have not lifted a finger to do anything about that. The police are out there on their own. There's some community activists like Reverend Harrison and others that are doing their best. But this would be a public health crisis in any normal city, and the leadership is hiding under the bed.
Robin, I want to get your response to that locally here. Obviously, as the conversation about police reform continues, we also see a spike in crime this week that has troubled city leaders, as Mike mentioned.
It should trouble everybody. I mean, and the mayor has taken responsibility. I don't know how Mike can say he's ducking. He said, look, it's my responsibility. But you're right. It's got to be a comprehensive effort. It can't just be isolated to one area of the town. I mean, we have got to have a comprehensive effort to address this. I would say, though, that we've got to make sure that some of the systemic issues are addressed. It's not simply about how many police you can put on a corner. It's, are people getting excellent education opportunities? Are they getting good housing? That's what we've got to address. But the mayor did take responsibility. He didn't run away from that.
Let's also talk about this race for Attorney General. We heard the interview earlier with Curtis Hill and with Jonathan Weinzapfel. Tony, your thoughts on this race as we wait to see if Hill will be nominated for re-election?
Well, Republicans held their virtual convention a few nights ago, and I think Attorney General Hill gave a great speech. I think it was better than the others. And not just saying that because that's who I'm voting for. I think he's got a clear vision. He's got a clear record. He's done some great things as Attorney General. He's written 4 op-ed pieces that went across the national media here in the last few weeks on the George Floyd killing and the protests and the defund the police issue. He's for law enforcement, and that's going to be a big issue. Doing things right, weeding out the bad actors, but still supporting law enforcement. We've had too many cops killed here in the last, well, it's an ongoing problem. More than 90 in the last year. It's more than 30 this year. So much violence that came along with the peaceful protests. And we just like Mike said, we've got a sad situation here in Indianapolis. So we need leadership at the governor's level, the attorney general's level. Curtis Hill will give that at the city level. It's past time for words. When you go downtown and you see all these businesses boarded up and you see what the looting and the rioting and the violence and the death that came to our city, that needs to be, somebody should have anticipated that, knew that was going to happen. And so just saying hold me accountable, which the mayor said is not enough. This was a campaign issue.
Okay.
We've been in front of this before this happened.
Okay. Rima, your thoughts on all this?
I think we're talking about 2 very different things right now. I think that we're trying to, put in together the homicides in the city with the protests that are happening. And I don't think you can put those all together. I think what we're seeing here in Indianapolis as in regards with the protests is what we're seeing nationwide. I think that we've reached as a nation a boiling point with the fact that these videos that have come out and the murder of George Floyd and the murder of others, this has been going on for centuries in this country with this criminal injustice system that's stacked against brown and black people, especially black people. And I think that we need to look at that and address that. And on the other end, you're right. I think that we need to, I'm very happy that the mayor is saying he's going to double down and look at the homicide. And I'm interested to see what does double down mean and entail, because this is an issue. And we have to look at the systematic issue, and we have to really make sure that we keep Indiana safe and Indianapolis safe.
Okay, we've got
but
to
not get those confused.
Sure, yeah. Rima, Mike, Tony, Robin, thank you all so much for being here today. We do appreciate it. And we'll have much more on our website. Coming up this Sunday in Focus, local school districts taking a stand against racism. We'll be right back after this.